So it's been a long time since I've done any more videos on panic and panic attacks and how to work with them and how to process them, and yeah, so I feel like it would be good to do an update, which feels a bit strange because panic is no longer part of my life, not in the way it was. So when I was suffering from the panic, it was really severe. It took over my life, to the point where I didn't really want to go out of the house. So I suppose I was agoraphobic. I was also claustrophobic because I didn't want to be in tunnels, trains, buses, any situation where I felt like I couldn't get out. Even cafes and restaurants would trigger the panic. I realise now as well that I had OCD. It's called OCD, sensory motor OCD, which is where you're like really aware of your sensations. Kind of intrusive thoughts, although I don't think they are intrusive, but people call them that. By that I mean I think it's part of it's kind of like a chronic fear where the mind takes over and you get really, really caught in your head with these thoughts. So it's not like they're naturally coming at you, but I was like feeding those thoughts. And that derealization, I was experiencing that a lot. So it's like I felt really weird, didn't really feel like I was in my body, felt far away, felt very scary. A lot of strong sensations, often in my chest, like a pressure, like I couldn't breathe. And I sort of became obsessed with the panic, with when it was going to come back next, and that was I ever going to get my life back. And so it's been a massive journey for me, and I'm actually really grateful for the panic. Sounds weird saying that. Wow, it would have been weird for me back then to hear that, but I am really grateful for it, because it really transformed my life, and I feel that I really needed to go there to meet these parts of myself that I had suppressed. And that's what I really believe now and feel to be true with panic, is that it's like these parts of ourselves that we don't feel are okay, they're not welcome, they're bad, they're wrong, and we're not always consciously aware of them, and we suppress them, we hold them down, we hide them unconsciously. And we have like this particular way of living until finally like the body's screaming. And it's not always with panic, it can be physical pain, or some other kind of symptom that shows itself to give us that call to meet it. And I really feel that panic is a kind of suppression of those feelings, but the feelings wanting to come. So you're in that fight, the war with it, the part of you that's so used to holding it down, that wants to hold it down, and the feelings that are coming. And I think for me there, I've been through this journey of starting with the tapping, and starting with Fast EFT to tap to get through it, to try and clear it, to not have it. And that took me to a deeper journey where once I felt strong enough, a bit better, to actually start meeting those feelings that were like the, shadow, the part that needed to be met. And that's been a bit of a that's been a longer process. And I think part of me was a bit nervous to share that in some ways, because knowing myself back then, I sort of feel like when I'm sharing these videos, I'm talking to the me back then. And I never wanted to scare anyone that's going through panic attacks and make them think, oh my God, what do you mean? It's going to be years. I'm going to be going through this forever. Because that was my fear. It's like, oh my God, I'm going to be stuck in this forever. And if I could speak to the younger Lizzie now, I'd say, no, you're not. You really are. This is going to shift and you're going to get your life back. And then you're going to go through a journey where you're going to unravel, and it's going to feel so much better than you can ever imagine. Because my mind was making up this stuff like, oh my God, like it's going to get really bad, or I'm going mad, or I'm having a spiritual breakdown, like something. Just would terrify me. And then I'd hear like words like, just jump into the fire, and just let your ego die, and your mind just makes up all kinds of crazy stuff like, oh, okay, so it's going to take that for me to be okay. And it didn't take that. It was just, it's like I've heard this before, like the body will only give you what you can handle, and I think that's true, and the psyche will. And so, yeah, it's been this process where I really got support to start feeling feelings, allowing the feelings to come, and my own practice of tending to the little Lizzie, really, tending to the younger Lizzie that had held stuff in, that hadn't expressed herself, that had suppressed so many things, that had gone through what she'd gone through, and like meeting her over and over again, it turned into sort of, I suppose, what you call dark night of the soul. So it was a few years of just really like working diligently, regularly, almost every day, not always every day, but regularly just tending to this part of myself. And it felt really sacred, actually. It was, I look back on those moments as like really beautiful, tender moments, and I really feel like it helped me grow so much. And so, yeah, like that, the panic attacks took me to there. And that got me to a place where I just was no longer fearing feelings, because really I was phobic of feelings, and so many of us are. And then the stories come with it, like, oh yeah, if I feel the feeling, I'll break, I'll die, or someone else will, or I'll never get through it, or I'll go mad, or my body can't handle it. Like, there's a million stories with that. And it's only until we meet those feelings and it's like, oh, I thought there was this big scary monster under the bed and it's not there. It's like this, oh, is that it? And actually, by meeting them, I felt this, I would get to feel often this sense of quiet or peace that would come, or like serenity that came just by meeting that. And also by meeting them, it was like I was getting in touch with my own agency and my own body and what it needs and my own intuition. And so also what came with that is kind of really deep shamanic work, it feels like. And that really, really helped me on my own path of what feels good to me and where I want to go and who I want to be with and the kind of company I keep, speaking up for myself, all of that. And that came out of the panic. So, yeah. And so now, do I practice any of the things that I was sharing in the earlier videos? I think some of that stuff naturally comes into place. It's almost like it's just deeply in me. Like, I don't find I need to feed the thoughts. Like, I don't have to get into that rumination of like how panic is. But a lot of it's just gone. Like, I don't feel this kind of, oh, I need to, what's happening in my body? What's that? What's that feeling? What's this? Well, my heart's beating. Like, that's gone. Now it's more like a call. Like, so sometimes I might feel something and I know it's a call for me to go and sit with it. And often that just feels good. Sometimes it doesn't, but it's not like panic. It's not a phobic reaction. It's more like, okay, there's something here and I need to be with this and I want to be with this. And then, yeah. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else to share. I think, maybe a big piece actually is about the body, coming back to the body. I think if anyone had told me back then, like this, the big piece of this for you, Lizzie, is you're really, really in your head. You've got chronically into this sort of thinking, rumination stuff, and that's part of the problem. And actually it's like, how do you bring your body back in? I probably would have thought, really, nah. But actually it's a massive piece for so many people that have gone through their own traumas. It's the safest place becomes the head, but it ends up backfiring because the mind doesn't feel safe. And actually the more we're able to come back into the body, the safer we feel. So a big piece of it was like anything that helped my body, whether it was body work, like getting massage to help me come into my body, dancing, moving, walking, like really trying to help myself come back to my body. Now there's so much more information out there about this. It's brilliant. There's so much more somatic work and therapy. And I really feel that the tapping is a big piece of that, with helping us bring us back to our body and connect to our breath. And but like that was a huge piece for me, and understanding how the body works and what it needs and what helps it feel, what helped us feel safe. So now I do tend to do as well like a regular meditation practice that I do naturally because I want to do it. It's not like I need to do this. I just find that it really soothes me. So if I notice that I'm building up some tension or something like that, that's my call again to do it. And often what I do in meditation, I'm not sitting there trying not to think thoughts, how some meditations are. I'm just sitting there. I'm like resting almost, just noticing, okay, what is here? I'm not trying to get rid of anything. So there might be a feeling and I'm aware of it. There might be words and I'm aware of them. And I just wait. Like, so at the beginning it might be that I'm really, really thinky, and I'll just allow that. And it's almost like just sitting in a room with someone and just not trying to change them, just being there with them and waiting and giving space. Because I think a big piece of it is we need space, we need time to digest, to release, or for anything to come up that needs to be with. So I do that on a regular basis, and it's the point where I'm actually coming down to really subtle sensations, and I find just by being with them, not trying to get rid of them, almost like I'm tasting them, they release. And often in the release there's an emotion that I might not be aware of, and I'm only aware of it in that release. So there might be some tears or another emotion, and the body just softens even more, and there's a more breath. And so I suppose maybe also this regular practice just kind of keeps me at a place that feels quite I don't know, it's like I listen to myself now. Back then I was listening, but I was listening to the head. Now I'm listening to my body, but not listening to my body as I was in panic, where it was freaking out over my body. Now it's like I'm in touch with my body, I'm part of my body, and I can listen to it and respond with it, to it, her, me. So I hope if any of you are going through panic that this helps you to hear my story, and if you ever need help, I'm here, so you're very welcome to contact me. And I have got the page on my website, treasure and then you.co.uk. There's a whole section on tapping for panic that is there for anyone dealing with panic attacks. And if there's anything else you might want to know, please don't hesitate to ask me a question. I'm happy to answer. Okay, thank you for listening to me.